Good morning again, guys. It is 9 a.m. Today we're going to get into some kettlebell work for our bonus feature. We're going to give people a couple minutes to jump on if they want to learn about the kettlebells. You can't see my kettlebell on the floor just because of the distance from the camera, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and work it out anyway. Cool. All right, who we got in here? Go ahead and comment real quick if you're joining me for this kettlebell seminar. See who we got in here. Nobody yet, that's okay. So a couple things I wanted to talk about with the kettlebell, and we'll kind of go through different movements and things, but I kind of want to just explain it while people are still getting in. Cool. The main thing we're going to go over is the hip hinge, how to hip hinge properly. And then we'll get into, how to drive with your legs and not pull with your arms, making sure that your shoulders stay relaxed and your back stays tight, bracing and all those things. We'll also kind of talk about how things correlate from your kettlebell movements over to your Olympic weightlifting and how that can help you with those movements as well, because we always want our movements to transfer skills over to other movements. That way, while we're training one, we can train the other at the same time, and we don't have to spend tons of hours training on one specific thing and then completely switch everything when we go to train something else. Cool. All right, guys, give it another couple seconds to get on. Couple of announcements tonight. We have our special guest at 2 p.m. So definitely make sure you get on and check that out. It's going to be super exciting. You're not going to want to miss it. I'm excited. I hope you are too. And then at 6:30, we have our first antisocial social event or social distancing event. And that's going to be on Zoom. It's going to be a Zoom call, and we're doing a trivia night. So definitely get out to that or stay in for that and make sure you check it out. Cool. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into some kettlebell stuff. So like I said earlier, we really want to make sure that we have an efficient hinge, because if we don't have an efficient hinge, then we are relying on different parts of our body and compensating and then building muscular imbalances and potentially risking injury. We definitely don't want to risk injury. Cool. So wherever you're at, just go ahead and stand up. I'm going to show you the side view, but you don't have to stand to the side. What we really want to focus on is keeping our back flat and then pushing our hips straight back. Cool. So this is a proper hip hinge here because my back is flat and my hips are all the way closed. Cool. What we don't want to see in a hip hinge is that back round out here and our hips stay open. So if your hips stay tucked here and your back is completely round, then all of that pressure is on your spine, all of that weight is on your spine, and you're not using a whole lot of muscle to get through that movement. You're just using your skeleton, and we want to make sure we're using our muscles. Cool? All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and knock out 5 reps, basically just doing a good morning with a little bit deeper knee bend. So I want you guys to dip down like you're into your position 1. Just dip at the knees so your shoulders stay stacked over your hips stay stacked over your ankles, and you're dipping at your knees. Then from here, we're going to get into that hip hinge position. Hips stay back, back stays nice and flat. Cool. And then stand up. We're going to go through that 4 more times. If it's hard for you to figure out the hip hinge, place your hands right where your waist is, and then try to touch the top of your hand to your quad. So place your hand where your hip is, push those hips back until the top of your hand is touching your quad, and keep your back nice and flat. Cool. So make sure that chest stays open. We don't want that chest caving in because then your back rounds out. So chest stays nice and tall, back of your hands to your quads, stand up. Always squeeze your glutes when you're standing up. Cool. And down, up. That's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Nice, guys. So that is our swing right there. That is how we are going to maintain that kettlebell swing. It is a hip hinge. It's not a squat. So sometimes when you see people doing kettlebell swings, they're going here and their torso stays vertical the whole time. We want to make sure we are leaning over and swinging through our hips. Cool. All right, guys. Next, we're going to talk about how you approach the kettlebell. I'm going to drop this down a little bit so you can see my kettlebell for a while. Okay, so here in this position, you don't really need to see my face. We want to make sure that we are starting behind our kettlebell. So wherever your kettlebell is, take about a half step back. So if you're here, go 1 foot and then another foot back. You'll be about right where you need to be. As far as your foot width, doesn't really need to be any wider than shoulder width apart. Some people even go hip width apart. That's okay too. If you are a larger person, this might not be that ideal just because you have to try and excessively get more space in between your knees so that the kettlebell can go through. So anywhere from hip to shoulder width should be fine, but you don't need to go crazy wide just to get that kettlebell through unless you're using like a 150-pound kettlebell or something crazy like that. Cool. All right, guys, so we start behind the kettlebell. And when we grab the kettlebell, excuse me, we want to grab it and lean it towards us. Cool. If you start from here and you pull it straight back, the kettlebell tends to slap forward, and then when you come back, it tends to slap back, and then when you come back forward, it kind of yanks you forward onto your toes. We want to make sure we keep our whole foot on the floor. So you're going to lean that kettlebell down, so then when you go to pull it, the kettlebell stays forward until you're all the way back, and then it drives back forward. Cool? All right, guys. So once you set up properly, your hands are on the bell, you're going to lean the bell forward, and then you're going to get your lats nice and tight. So you're going to squeeze those shoulders down, and kind of the same way you would to start a deadlift. Right before you start a deadlift, you really lock those lats down and squeeze your back nice and tight. It's going to be the same with your kettlebell swing, and that's going to keep, that's going to keep your back nice and tight and keep your body more connected. Cool. So when you drive with the hips, that momentum is going to go into the kettlebell instead of into your arms, and then you have to pull with your arms. Cool. We want to keep those shoulders safe, so we're going to focus on not pulling with our arms and make sure our hips are doing all the work. So from here, grab the kettlebell and lean it down, and then you're basically going to hike it back like you're hiking a football. Cool. So from here, you're just going to throw it back and then stop. So that movement is called the kettlebell dead stop. You just hike it back and then stop. We're going to go ahead and knock out 5 reps of kettlebell dead stops. You're probably going to feel your hamstrings burning a little bit, feel your glutes burning a little bit, feel your lats burning a little bit, but that's good. That's what I want you guys to feel. Cool? All right, guys. So from the top, we're going to go ahead and get down into our position 1, the same as your power position or your position 1 for Olympic weightlifting. And then you're going to lean forward into that hinge. You're going to grab your bell. You're going to lean it forwards and then hike it back and then stop. Cool? We're going to go ahead and hit 4 more reps. And go. And go. And go. And go. And go. Last one, go. So that is how we want to start our kettlebell swing. If we start in a good position, then when we go to swing with our hips, we can swing in a good position and finish up top nice and tall in a good position. I'm only going to go over the Russian swing because that's going to transfer over to our kettlebell clean, single arm kettlebell clean that I'll be going over in just a minute. Cool. All right, guys, so once that bell is back behind you, you've hiked it back behind you effectively, then we have to drive with our hips to get momentum into the bell so that it swings forward. So that forward position is not us pulling up on the bell with our arms. We're driving our hips into the bell and forcing the bell forwards. Cool? To properly assess how much drive we're giving with our legs, I got a quick drill for you guys. We're basically going to do what's called a good morning jump. So we're going to go back, standing up nice and tall. You can have your hands on your hips if you need. We're going to dip down to our position 1 and then push our hips back, lean over, just like that good morning. And then from here, when I say jump, you're going to jump as high as you can. If you're doing this in the house and you have low ceilings, maybe not as high as you can, but you want to extend all the way through your toes and get off the ground. Cool? We're going to do 5 reps. Ready? And jump. Nice. Down. And jump. That's 2. Down. And jump. 3. Down. And jump. 4. Down. Last one, guys, and jump. 5. So that is how much force you should have driving through your legs and your hips when you are swinging your kettlebell. If you're swinging your kettlebell and your shoulders start burning before your hamstrings, your quads, and your glutes do, then you're probably doing something wrong. Cool? We want to make sure that we are driving through the legs here, locking out nice and strong. You're squeezing your quads, squeezing your butt, squeezing your belly. And then once that happens, you're just going to let the kettlebell fly up from there. Cool? All right, guys. As you already know, you don't typically jump off the ground when you're doing kettlebell swings. So we're going to do the same drill we just did, but this time I want you to keep your feet flat. So you're going to jump, but you're not going to extend through your ankle. Cool? You're going to keep your feet flat. They don't have to stay on the floor. They're probably going to hop. You're probably still going to hop up a little bit, and that's okay. Cool? But keep your feet flat, but keep that same drive with your legs. All right, guys, we ready? 5 reps. And down, jump, down, jump, down, jump, down, jump, down, jump. All right, so that is probably is closer to what your kettlebell should feel like. You're driving all the way through your legs, really pushing hard. So you want to simulate that same amount of effort, that same amount of drive, but without actually coming up off the ground, because then that's a lot of impact when you come back down. And you don't want that much jarring on your spine. So with the kettlebell, like I said, you want that much effort going through your legs, locking out hard, squeezing those glutes, but you don't have to come up off the ground. We want that good hip hinge and then effort with the legs. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to try and put all of that together into a Russian swing. So for this Russian swing, I don't really care how high the kettlebell gets. That's not what I'm worried about. As far as movement standards go, it doesn't really matter how high the kettlebell gets. What I do care about is the effort that you are giving with your legs. The hip hinge, the good hip hinge that you have, so keeping that back nice and straight, hinging from your waist, and then hiking the kettlebell back behind you before extending with the legs. Cool? All right, guys, we're going to do 5 reps, and we're going to make sure we have that good hip hinge and then explode with the legs. Cool? Actually, before we do that, we're going to do a kettlebell swing dead stop. I'll show you what that looks like, and then we'll all do 5 reps together. Cool. So the kettlebell dead stop was just from your start position, and you hike it back, and then back to your start position. The kettlebell swing dead stop is the same thing, but you're going to hike back, do 1 rep, and then back to the dead stop. So it'll look like this. dead stop. Cool. We're going to go ahead and knock out 5 reps. So stand up nice and tall. Let's go down to our position 1. Hip hinge, lean over, back's nice and tight. Grab your bell, lean it forwards, and 1 rep, go. Nice. 2nd rep, go. Pretty good. 3rd rep, go. 4th rep, go. And last one, go. Nice, guys. So that is what your kettlebell swing should feel like. It should feel like there's a lot of effort coming from your hamstrings, your quads, and your glutes. Not that much effort coming from your arms, and your back is nice and tight. Cool. If you felt that in your lower back, you probably weren't squeezing your lats tight enough, especially on the upswing. Either that or you were pulling on that kettlebell as it was coming up instead of driving with your hips. So we really want to focus on making sure this remains a glute, quad, and hamstring exercise, and we don't turn it into a shoulder exercise or a back exercise. Cool? All right, guys. We're going to hit 5 swings real quick at your own pace. You don't have to go at my pace. I'm just going to knock out 5 quick ones just so you can feel that rebounding effect. So this time we're not doing a dead stop. We're just going to do 5 reps all the way through. Cool? All right. So again, we dip down. Position 1, hip hinge, lean over, grab the bell, lean it forwards, lats tight, and hike it back. Swing, swing, swing. 4, 5. And again, guys, right now, I don't care how high the bell gets as long as you are driving with your hips and locking out with your legs nice and hard, keeping that belly tight. Cool? All right, guys. So next, what we're going to get into is we're going to start a single arm swing because that's going to transfer over to our single arm clean. So we're going from a single arm swing to a single arm clean. The main thing with the single arm swing is we want to maintain the same posture or same positions that we had with our double arm swing, but we're adding in hand rotation. So when you grab the bell, you're actually going to grab it on one end of the bell, either side, doesn't really matter, but it's going to be on one end. And then when you swing when you hike the bell back from our start position, you're going to rotate your thumb back behind you. So I'll stick my thumb out so you guys can see it. You're going to rotate your thumb back behind you. The way I learned it, it's thumb to the bum. So thumb goes back towards your butt. And then when you drive with your hips, you're going to open up your hips and then rotate to a neutral position. So you're going to go from here, swing, neutral position. I'll show you guys what that looks like, and then we'll try a couple reps together. So again, we still get into our position 1, still drive those hips back. This time you're going to grab to the side of the bell. You're not going to go right in the middle. Grab to the side. You're still going to lean it forwards. You're going to hike it back, and you're going to take your thumb and twist it back behind you towards your butt. Cool. So it'll be here to neutral. Cool. And I'll go ahead and raise this so you guys can see what my hands are doing at the top as well. So at the top, we want to make sure we're going into a neutral position and we are not leaving our thumb flipped over. So we're going from here, rotating, thumb out to neutral. Cool. That's going to allow that kettlebell to slide through your hands once we start getting into that rack position. Take this off real quick. It's getting hot. All right, so We're gonna go ahead and knock out a quick 5 reps and really focus on rotating that thumb from this position, driving hard with those hips, rotating to neutral. Cool. I also want you guys to focus on relaxing that arm. So your arm shouldn't be locked out with your tricep squeezed and your elbow perfectly straight, but I also don't want you to bend it all the way back. So we're not doing this either. Cool. Just relax your arm. Your arm is basically just a string that's attached to the bell. Cool. Let's go ahead and knock out 5 reps at your own pace. Ready? And go. So down to your power position. Lean forward. Good hinge. Grab the bell. Hike it back. And neutral. Thumb back. Thumb neutral. Thumb back. Neutral. Cool. All right, guys. So that is a single arm kettlebell swing, and that's going to set you up to start doing your kettlebell snatches and your kettlebell cleans. What I wanted to talk about today is your kettlebell clean. Mainly to show you guys the front rack position. Anytime we have kettlebell front rack anything, see a lot of people do a lot of different versions of a front rack. The one that I wanted to talk about today is probably the easiest, probably the most comfortable, excuse me, and it keeps your body in a much more connected position so that you can utilize all your muscle groups instead of just 1 or 2 to try and hold that kettlebell up. Cool. So what I want you to do right now is just stand up nice and tall, ball up your fists, then point your thumbs straight out. You're going to go ahead and put your thumbs on your collarbone. Cool. Your hands are going to be about, if you can see mine, they're going to be about 3 or 4 inches apart. They don't have to be that far. Honestly, you can even touch them if you needed to. So this is your front rack position for your kettlebell movements. So anytime you have like a kettlebell carry, front rack carry, or kettlebell front rack lunges or anything like that, you can go right here for your kettlebell hold. And if some of you guys have the kettlebell on top of your shoulders like this, like the handles through here, and then the bell's on top of your shoulders. Some guys have it back here where the kettlebell is hanging over your shoulders and your arms are all the way out. A lot of people, I've seen tons of people that when they're holding their kettlebell, their wrist is turned all the way back. And that just wreaks havoc on your wrist. You want to make sure that you keep a nice, strong, solid, neutral wrist position when you're holding that bell instead of being back like this. Cool. All right, guys. So the way that we are going to get that kettlebell from our single arm into our rack position, from our single arm swing into our rack position, is by letting the kettlebell slide through our hand. Cool. So I'm not going, if you're squeezing the kettlebell too hard, it's not going to slide through your hand. So make sure you keep just enough grip on the kettlebell just to hold it. You don't need to death grip the kettlebell. Also, if you're doing this in the house, excuse me, make sure there's nothing around you that is breakable, because if that kettlebell does fly out of your hands, it's probably going to break whatever's near you. But just have enough grip on the kettlebell to hold it. You don't need to death grip it because then it won't slide through. And then that kettlebell flips over and smacks your forearm. And that's when people get that big bruise on their forearm. And the next day, their wrist is all jacked up and they're in a lot of pain. So we want to try not to be in that predicament. Cool. All right, guys. So from the single arm swing, we are going to start to rotate our shoulders. So we're going to swing here. So thumb back, then thumb to neutral, and then you're going to drive from your hips and your shoulders and pull back. It's a very short, very kind of jerky movement, but you want to start to twist back into this position here so that you can eventually punch through and catch the kettlebell on your front rack position. I'll show you what it looks like. Whew. Oh, man. Bless me, it's not Corona, I promise. I'll show you guys what it looks like, and then we'll run through some reps together. Cool? All right, guys, so we're going to get into our position 1. Lean over, good hip hinge. Grab that bell, lean it forward, thumb to the bum, drive here, and then drive and pull. Drive and pull. Drive and pull. Drive and pull. Cool. So with those positions, as soon as my hips extend and I lock out nice and strong, I go ahead and twist from the hips and shoulders here to this position. Cool. I don't let any time pass by. I don't pause at the top and then rotate. I don't start rotating from down here. I wait until my hips lock all the way out. Then I rotate from my shoulders and my hips. Like I said before, it's a very quick, jerky motion. Cool? All right, guys. If you need to do a dead stop after each one, that's perfectly fine. But you can also do 5 reps consecutively if you can let that kettlebell drop and swing back through. Cool. I'll show you the dead stop version since I already showed you the rebounding version, but we're going to knock out 5 reps at your own pace. Ready, guys? Let's go. All right, so grab the corner of, up nice and tall. Position 1, lean over. Nice. Grab the corner of the bell, lean it forward, thumb to the bum, and dead stop. Twist that hand, jerk it back, and dead stop. That's 2. Dead stop. 3. Dead stop. That one was okay-ish. Take it back. There you go. That was much better. 4. And hike it back. 5. Nice. Whew. Hamstrings and glutes are feeling it. If your hamstrings and glutes aren't burning, then definitely tighten up those positions so that we make sure the right muscle groups are working. Cool? All right, guys. So to finish this movement, you got to be fast. You can't let any time pass and let gravity start to pull on that kettlebell, because if you do, that's when that kettlebell flips over and smacks on your arm instead of gently sliding through. I like to open my hand at the end of the position just so that I can really let that kettlebell slide through. You don't have to do that, especially if you're worried about dropping that kettlebell. You don't want to drop it on your foot, on your knee, whatever the case may be. Definitely stay safe, but I'm just letting you know why I'm opening my hand, is so that the kettlebell can slide through my hand a little bit better. So we do our kettlebell swing, single arm. We rotate from the hips and the shoulders. Bang, we're here. That kettlebell is flying towards us. So as it's flying towards us, we are going to move back forward. So we're going to twist from the shoulders and the hips again, forward, back to our position here, and we're going to punch up into our rack position. So I'll show you without the bell, then I'll show you with the bell, and then we'll do a couple reps together. So you'll be here, comes back, thumb back, rotate through the hand. You're going to pull back here, rotating shoulders and hips. Kettlebell's flying back. You're going to rotate back aggressively, punch through, and finish here in your front rack position. Cool? All right, guys. I'm going to do 2 reps dead stop, which means I'm going to stop after every single rep. So I'm going to do 2 reps dead stop from the side, and then I'll show you another 2 reps dead stop from the front. Cool? All right, guys. There. And dead stop. There. And on the video, you should be able to hear or not hear that kettlebell is not flipping over and smacking my arm. You probably can't hear the bell at all, which means that it's landing nice and flat or nice and smoothly on my arm, and it is not crashing into my arm in any crazy positions. Cool. So this time I really want you to pay attention to what my arm's doing, what my shoulders are doing, what my hips are doing. So we start here, we're gonna go down, power position, hinge forwards, hike it back, and up. Cool. Dead stop, hike it back, and stop. Cool. All right, guys, we are going to attempt 5 reps. If you know how to rebound into your next rep, then you can go ahead and try that, or you can just do 5 dead stops. I showed you the dead stop version, so I'll go ahead and show you 5 reps of the rebounding. Either one is fine. If you're really trying to dial in that technique, it's better to go ahead and dead stop. That way you can kind of assess each rep immediately. As soon as you come down to that dead stop, you can be like, okay, I didn't rotate enough with my shoulders, so this time I'm going to try that, and go, and then rotate and punch back down to your dead stop, and you're like, man, I didn't drive enough with my legs. And you can kind of assess each rep that way. So that's why the dead stop is such a great drill to do. But I'm going to rebound into each one. That way you can see what that looks like as well. Cool. We're going to go ahead and knock out 5 reps at your own pace. Whenever you're ready, go. So up nice and tall. Position 1, lean forward. Back's nice and flat, lats tight. And go. That's 4, last one, and 5. Cool. So it got a little sloppy on those last couple of reps, but the first ones were pretty good. You can kind of see the kettlebell sliding through my hand, and it wasn't flipping over and crashing on my wrist. Cool. All right, guys. So that is mostly it for kettlebell cleans. Maybe a couple weeks from now, we may go over the kettlebell snatch. But the key things I want you guys to take away from this kettlebell seminar is, 1, making sure you have that good hip hinge. So we want to go from our position 1, just like Olympic weightlifting. So the more you can dial in that position, the better you'll get at it. So that's one thing that can transfer over to your Olympic weightlifting. And then the second main thing I want you guys to take away from the kettlebell seminar is extending with those legs. So the first thing is that hip hinge, dip down, lean over, back's nice and flat. And the second thing is effort with the legs, not the arms. So your back is nice and tight, but your arms are loose. So squeeze the lats, loose arms, and then from here, big drive, effort with the legs. Cool. Those are the 2 main things I want you guys to take away from. One last thing I also want you guys to take away from this is that your kettlebell rack position is right here. Cool. Strong wrists, no floppy wrists like this. Strong wrists right there on your collarbone. You can see it from both angles. I'm very relaxed, very comfortable in this position. If I had to go to squats or something like that, I can go right into it. I don't need to readjust or anything like that. My shoulders aren't burning. My forearms aren't burning because I can open my hand. If you're up here and you open your hand, that kettlebell kind of leans back, so you kind of have to keep your whole hand on it and pull forward. This is just not a very efficient rack position. The more your body can stay connected, the more efficient your movement's going to be. So that's why I really love this rack position here. Cool. So those are the 3 things I'd like you to take away. The hip hinge, effort with the legs, and then just making sure you're in a good rack position. Cool. So if anybody has any questions, you can go ahead and put them in the comment section. I can answer them right now in real time. What up, Jake Hills? I see you, bro. Appreciate you. Good morning to you as well. While you guys are getting your questions in, I can go over announcements real quick. We have a special guest coming at 2 p.m. Definitely make sure you're going to check that out at 2 p.m. It's going to be an awesome time, so don't miss that. Then we have Kristen at 3 with the equipment wad, so you can bring out your barbells, your rowers, skiers, whatever equipment you have, and knock that out with Kristen. That's going to be really fun as well. Then at 5 p.m., we have Kristen doing the no equipment WOD. That's the one that I did this morning at 7 a.m. Excuse me. So definitely check that out as well. And then at 6:30, we have our trivia night on the Zoom link. I believe Cass put that in the Facebook group. If you're not in the Facebook group, get with one of the coaches. We can get you in there. That way you don't miss that. You're not going to want to miss that. I miss seeing all you guys' smiling faces. So please come to that so we can check you out and see you face to face, even though, we're not actually face to face. It'll still be good to see you guys, hear your voices and all of that stuff. Cool. All right, guys, if there's no questions, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thanks for coming out, and I will see you later.